Welcome to Out Loud, a comedy podcast where I talk with queer comedians about identity as well as just talk and shop about the comedy community. I'm your host, Corbin Willmorth, and I'm here because, well, what comedian just doesn't have a podcast nowadays? Welcome to Out Loud, a queer comedy podcast hosted by me, Corbin Willmorth, and honestly, I am so glad to finally be back doing this. Oh my god. Those of you who have been following the show may already know this, or those of you who are just casual listeners may not know this. I don't know. Anyway, but it's been unintentionally like 2 months since I last uploaded an episode. And before I get into today's episode, I feel like I do kind of need to, kind of explain some stuff. And for those of you who really just don't care and just want to hear the interview, hear what's going on, I will tell you a little timestamp here to skip to. To get into the episode, skip to 14 minutes and 33 seconds. So, yes, it's been about 2 months since I last uploaded anything with this podcast. The last time I uploaded was in the middle of February, and at the time I'm editing this, it is Sunday, May 3rd, because Jesus Christ. And just like a teeny tiny part of it that really wasn't taking any time away from the podcast was the fact that, like if you listen to the last episode, I'm acting in a indie produced sitcom that's being filmed right here in Spokane, Washington. And because this is an indie production and there's no money being funneled into it, I am going to promote that as much as possible. So keep your ear out for the ad segment when I talk to death about that. But also another part of why I was away from this podcast for so long was because, like, literally the final day of February 28th, I'm going to go ahead and talk about this. I've told some people in private, I've kind of made jokes about it on stage because I like to cope with humor, but on that day I went into an urgent care because, for 3 days leading up to that, I just had this really intense pain in my leg that got to the point where I couldn't even put any weight on it. Like I called out of work for 2 days, and then after 2 days I was like, fuck, I need to go to work. And so I went to work, and then literally the pain in my leg was so bad that after an hour I was like, no, I can't do this. I need to go home. I need to go the fuck home. And I just dropped my phone. And so finally I bit the bullet and I said, fuck it. And I went to the doctor because my stubborn ass was just so sure that the pain was nothing. It was because I slept weird and I pulled a muscle, because it's a thing that I've done in the past. And just to find out that apparently I have gout, which was not something I ever thought I would get as a 25-year-old. And when I first got diagnosed, I was just so fucking depressed. I literally was like, fuck, I was so sure that my life was fucking over at this point. What the fuck? I just became so depressed, and I just sunk into myself. And I kind of let my mental health get the best of me, and I fucking, yeah, it's hard for me to put to words just how shitty I felt, but I let my brain get to me, just the mean, intrusive thoughts, and I kind of was just like, fuck it, for a long time. And then it took a whole month before I actually started doing comedy again. And now, a month after that, I'm trying to get back into this podcast because I'm not going to let this bullshit get the fucking better of me. And I just need to get back to doing the passion projects that I love and just fucking getting back to it, And for those of you who are oh my god, and concerned and just, I just want you guys to know that I'm fine. I am doing great. I'm doing better than okay, even. But to kind of just explain a little bit, just to give you guys some context so you can understand, basically how gout works is that it creates a buildup of this thing called uric acid in your body, specifically your legs, but for me it was my left leg, like really intensely. And it's kind of like, you know how like you'll hear about like the olden kings in medieval times and shit like that, and like they will consume so much like meat and like gluttonous stuff that they get gout, and that's why it's called a king's disease. But you know, if I was a king, I would have been able to afford the fucking hospital bill they shoved on me. But anyway, so like just like a mix of just really shitty eating habits and possibly also some genetic predisposition, just knowing the health history of my family's line. Yeah, I ended up contracting gout just out of fucking nowhere. And I've been doing really good. I haven't been like medicated for it. Yeah, I haven't really been like medicated. I didn't really go into a doctor after receiving that. I probably should, but I'm a stubborn asshole. But what I've been doing is I've just been following a really, 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 really strict diet that is meant to like cut out all the uric acid and cut out the purines or whatever. Because like that is 90% of what causes gout, and gout flare-ups is what you eat. So I have not been eating any red meat, which means like no beef and no pork, which makes me want to kill myself because like fucking bacon and sausage and like ground meat and like steak, like oh fuck, like that, like yeah, like I can't eat that anymore. So fuck my life. So I have not eaten any of that in like 2 months. And I also cannot eat any shellfish, which also makes me want to kill myself because I'm from the Seattle area, and telling a like Western Washingtonian that they can't eat shellfish is like telling someone in the Epstein files that they can't touch kids. Is that a fucked up analogy? Very much so. Is it the best analogy I have? You bet your fucking ass. And then lastly, I cannot have any alcohol. And to be fair, like I've never like felt like a need to drink, you know? Like I've never felt like a consuming urge to like consume alcohol. But like, you know, like it kind of sucks that I'm 25 and my drinking career is already over. Wait, isn't that literally just a fucking line from The Flash? I think it is. Oh, fuck, yeah, no, that's literally a bit from season 1 of The Flash. What the fuck? Damn, I guess my life really is like a TV show, and I'm not just saying that because I'm going to be an actor in something. Oh, and then also, no fat dairy. Like, I must have fat-free dairy. Like, that's it. Is fat-free milk, like, basically disgusting? Yes, but my alternative is putting water in my cereal. So, anyway, with that, 6-minute health update out of the way, I want to talk about some, show analytics that, have happened since I took my 2-month hiatus. So, this information is not going to be entirely accurate because I'm not paying for, like, a premium subscription with the service that I use for my podcast. I might pay for it in the future because my fiance and I are talking about starting our own separate podcast, but more talking about that will be done later. But last I checked with the analytics, and I had this written down, last I checked 2 months ago, the podcast had 225 all-time downloads, and it had reached 7 countries across 41 cities. Looking at the analytics now, which is showing me from as far back as November 2025 to today, this I think is fucking crazy. 363 all-time downloads. 32 countries out of 85 cities. What the fuck? It always, like, amazes me just how much, like, this has grown from me like with just like an idea in my bedroom in a 2-bedroom apartment in Eastern Washington State, and like what the fuck, you know? Like wow. Like I'm trying to show genuine like emotion here. Like holy shit. Like I don't really know what to say. Like I just want to like what like like this is my genuine unfiltered reaction right now. Like what the fuck? Like thank you all so much for this support, and like holy shit. I wish there was a way for me to see like downloads by countries instead of downloads by cities. Like I can see like a little pie chart that shows me like the downloads by country, but it tells me percentages. It doesn't tell me like the literal like data. So I'm just going to have to do some fucking math here. So I'm going to now thank all 32 countries who have listened to this podcast, and I'm going to state the number of cities that have tuned in. I'm not going to say number of downloads, because if I had calculated all of that, we'd be here all fucking day. So I just want to say thank you to the 38 United States cities. Thank you to the 1 city in Singapore. Thank you to the 5 cities in Canada. To the 3 cities in Australia. 4 in the UK. 7 in Germany. 2 in Kenya. 1 in Jordan. 1 in Qatar. 1 in Hungary. 1 in South Africa. 1 in India. 1 in Uzbekistan. 1 in Vietnam. 1 in Mali. 1 in Algeria. 2 in Morocco. 1 in Ireland. 1 in Spain. 3 in Argentina. 1 in Uruguay. 2 in Brazil, 1 in Mexico, 1 in Venezuela, 1 in Colombia, and 1 in Panama. I want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in and for showing me just how all over the globe there is interest in hearing queer voices that are in like mainstream comedy spaces. And I'm also interested to know just what the, I guess, stand-up comedy scene in all of these countries are. Like, I now kind of want to look into that. Okay, I'm now seeing that there was some statistics that just didn't pop up. Like, apparently, also Denmark, Bangladesh, and Kenya, which I think is fucking crazy. And it's, I don't know what I need to do to get it to show me all the info, because it's refusing to show me all of it. But, that said, there was 2 countries that I did leave off because I wanted to mention them here at the very end. So I couldn't help but notice that there is 1 listener from Palestine. And that listener from Palestine, if you are listening to this right now, I hope you're safe wherever you are. And other listeners from all over the globe, do what you can to support Palestine in everything that is happening there right now. Please. And that said, I also happen to have 1 listener from Israel. Fuck you. Okay, I'm not really, but fuck your government though. Your government can go fuck itself. Well, anyway, now that we got all that shit out of the way, let's get into the episode proper. The comedian I'm talking to on this episode of the podcast is one of the 2 hosts of T4T Comedy, New York City's original all-trans stand-up comedy show, which is hosted, primarily monthly, at the Metropolitan Bar. This comic is also currently on tour with Emma Dallenberg. Dallenberg? Hop on the podcast and I'll be able to ensure I'm getting your name right. And this month, in the month of May, this tour is going to have dates in Kansas City, Missouri, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Buffalo, New York, Rochester, New York, and Toronto, Canada. At the very least, this is what I can tell from the post that they sent me showing the tour dates. Don't know if this is the full complete list, but what the hell. And of course, not to mention that this comic has been featured in the all queer late night show Going Down with Ella Yurman. I'm, of course, talking about New York's Sonny Laprade.
I share a dead name with a certain actor who's gotten very popular kind of out of nowhere. A certain like a prominent hockey bottom. Uh, and and that has put me in a really weird position because my dead name was uncommon. I had never run into anyone with that name before, but now all of a sudden every bisexual woman on earth is going, "Oh my god, Hudson is so hot." And guys, uh, if that had happened in college, I would not have transitioned. Sorry, I would have gotten to be a guy who seemed gay but still had sex with women. I'd be a much more successful comedian. I passed up an opportunity to be Gianmarco Cerezi. And instead I'm like Ellen's tweaker cousin. That sucks.
And as always, it was such a pleasure to talk with them on this podcast. And also, I just want to quickly apologize for recording this interview on April 14th and then not begin editing it until May 3rd, even though I promised that I would start editing it on the 15th of April. I had to go in and shoot a bunch of shit for the sitcom that I mentioned at the top of the show. So this is just me deflecting. Let's just get into the interview. All right, recording in progress. How has your day been going?
Uh, it's been a weird one. My the place that I went to college just
Hmm.
announced that they're shutting down as of this morning.
Oh shit.
So it's kind of just been like, seeing stuff about that.
Oh god damn. Yeah. Is this a good thing for you? Is this a bad thing for you?
Um, I mean, it's good if it turns out that my student loans get like absolved.
Oh,
Um,
that would be the dream.
but like probably bad, I guess. I think that you want the place that you got your degree from to like exist.
That would be true, yeah, but imagine though it gets shut down and you still owe them like tens of thousands of dollars. like
I mean, that's really like my worry right
like
now, you know?
like you want me to like what, send you a check to a building that doesn't fucking exist anymore? What do you mean? Like
Exactly, exactly. And that is like ultimately what I am really worried about. So we'll see. Fingers crossed that I owe no money. Shout out Hampshire College.
a shout out Hampshire College. All right. Let's give the plug to a school that no longer exists. Let's do that. I guess before I start going in my list of questions here, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Give yourself an introduction.
Okay, yeah. My name is Sunny Laprade. I am a New York city-based stand-up comic. I've been doing stand-up for like 10 years, a little longer than 10 years at this
Mm.
point. I tour the country. I have like a large presence online. I have a stand-up special on YouTube.
Ooh.
All that good stuff.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. So I do have to ask, so you are New York based. What part of New York would you say?
You want to take a guess?
Um, Vibes alone, Brooklyn maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Okay.
Brooklyn.
I did talk with another New York comic talking about like depending on what borough you're doing stand up in, the vibes are so fucking different. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, the vibes are very different borough to borough. I feel like, Brooklyn and Queens can have kind of a similar vibe, but like that's a very different vibe to Manhattan.
Hmm.
And I guess I can't really speak to Staten Island or the Bronx,
Ooh,
but
okay.
I assume those are different as well.
Is there even a stand-up presence in Staten Island and the Bronx, or is no, no.
I'm sure that there is, but not one that I really have had the privilege of interacting with.
Okay. Let's go ahead and just jump right into these questions that I have here. So, what's something you're obsessed with right now that hasn't turned into a joke yet?
Uh, Whoa, that's a good question. Let me look at my notes app. Oh, maybe not obsessed with, but I've been
Hmm.
thinking about this a lot. Um, I watch a lot of football
Right.
and so it's kind of like CTE is the big
Hmm.
conversation
Yes,
topic
yes,
right
yes.
now. Um, and I think it's really interesting that everyone is so like there's so much talk about CTE in the football world, but none in the like MMA and boxing world. And
Real.
I think it's just because they're like, well, yes, you're getting punched in the head. Of course
Right,
that's gonna
right.
give you brain damage. But people are more surprised when it comes to football for some reason.
I that is something that I do find a little bit weird because every fucking like year, like I don't really tune into sports. I give a shit when my home team is at the Super Bowl. That's it.
Yeah. Who's your
But
home
like
team?
my home team's the Seahawks because I'm from the Seattle area. I
Well,
know
shit,
the
you're
the
having a
wide
great
eyes
life,
you just
huh?
gave me, huh? Like, yeah, no, we just won the last Super Bowl, so we're on like a high right now. It's like I do find it crazy that no one gives a shit. Like no one at home really truly gives a shit about the Seahawks unless we're at the Super Bowl. Like I
Yeah.
find that really
I mean,
funny.
I am deeply jealous of any city who has a sports team that wins anything ever. So,
No, I remember going into the Super Bowl thinking, how the fuck did we get to the Super Bowl? Because my home state, home grows dog shit. And then I watched the Super Bowl and I'm like, oh, there's only two guys from Washington on the team. That makes sense. Like,
yeah. Oh, I mean, of
like, yeah,
course.
no, there's no fucking way any of us would get to the
No,
Super Bowl.
every single football player is from like a corn-fed state.
No, real, honestly. Like I think like half. I'm probably making this shit up, but like half of the Seahawks were from like Nebraska, which I was like, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Um, okay, no, but why the fuck did I bring up this? Oh yeah, the I noticed like the weird every year that I tune into the Super Bowl, the helmet design is completely different. Like, are they actually like trying to do something about it, or are they still just trying to sweep it under the rug, the whole CTE thing?
I mean, it's both.
It's both,
Like
yeah.
they certainly are posturing as if they're trying to do something about it. And like there are certain helmets that are like no longer allowed to be used unless you are grandfathered in. So like
Hmm.
Aaron Rodgers' helmet kind of looks like a bowling ball, and
Right.
no one else wears that helmet anymore because you're not supposed to because it's
Hmm.
not safe. But because he's been wearing it his whole career, they're letting him still do it. Um, and they're now allowing you to wear a guardian cap during games, which is like a cap that goes over your helmet. And a lot of players don't wear it because admittedly it does look stupid. But
Right.
when it's zoomed out, you can't really tell. And I do think that I would rather look stupid than not remember the names of my grandchildren, you know?
Yeah, not real. Like honestly, like fuck. I remember there was this true crime podcast that I listened to that specifically went into like a whole background about like CTE and all the research happening on it solely because they were doing like a three-parter on Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah. No, I mean it's
Hmm.
really sad.
Like it's fucked.
I never played football. I was from a school that was too small to have a team.
Hmm.
Uh, but like
Well,
all the stories that you hear about the ex pros, and then what that really makes me think of is like not even them, but the guys who didn't make it to the league, the guys who like never saw that money, but were still taking crazy hits in like high school games or like D3 games, and now have kind of permanent brain damage for nothing. Because I do
right.
think it's one of those things where it's like I don't know, I can kind of see the logic of like I am sacrificing long-term health in order to like get money for me and my family to be able to live off of for like generations, right? Like I
Right.
understand take making the conscious choice to make that trade-off, but like if you're in high school or like I see little kids playing like pee-wee football, like they don't
Hmm.
know there's no prospects of really getting further when you're at that level. And so then you're just kind of getting brain damage for the fun of it, and that really freaks me out.
That's just boys being boys, just getting
Yeah,
brain
I guess
damage for the
so.
fun of it. Yeah. I feel like that just totally encapsulates the fucking that mentality, you know?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
Kids, why are you sitting at home on your iPad when you can be going outside getting brain damage? I feel like that would be a more productive use of your time.
And I think that bold of you to assume that the iPad is not also giving them brain damage. It's just a different kind.
Yeah,
Like
no,
we
no,
haven't
there's.
discovered the type of CTE you get from TikTok yet, you know?
I mean, it's literally called brain rot for a reason. You can be at home getting the type of brain damage where it's just you're so mentally fucked because you're so like underdeveloped, like learning wise, or you could go outside and get physical head trauma, and
Yeah,
either way, you're fucked.
exactly. And listen, I've been knocked out in my
Mhm.
life. And also like I had a pretty good education, maybe not college wise because they're
Right.
shutting down, but like in high school. And I used to read a lot of books and stuff, and then the pandemic happened, and
Yeah.
I was just started being on my phone like 25/8, and now I've been getting back into reading again, and I am noticeably worse. Like it is taking me way longer than it used to finish books.
No, I
And
feel
like
that.
I'll have to have like music on in the background sometimes because it's no longer enough to just like hold my attention. And I can feel myself like having gotten dumber in real time, you know?
Like the pandemic turned you into like the stereotypical like ADHD needs like seven things happening all at once just to focus on one task.
Yeah, I used to read. Do you ever read Redwall, those books when you were a kid? Just me.
Maybe it sounds really familiar. I might have
It was a
glanced it.
it was a really long book series about
Hmm.
like these mice who lived in an abbey, and it was like they were doing like medieval
Mm.
warfare but with rodents. It was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
from
That
my
sounds
memory
really familiar.
really
Yeah.
good, and I'm sure that as an adult I would read it now and be like, what the fuck? Because they all had really thick accents that would be like written in dialogue that was really hard to
Oh my
understand, but as a
God.
kid I loved. And those books would be like 500 pages long, and I would sit down and read one in one day. And these days, it's like I've been working on, let's see, the current book that I'm reading is um a little over okay, it's like 350 pages long, give or take.
Hmm.
And I have been reading this for, I don't know, probably at least a month. And I'm
Hmm.
still like, I have like a third of the book left. So,
No, I remember like being younger, like I could like finish a book in a day, and then
yeah.
fucking like post pandemic, I try to like pick up something and I'm like, ew. Like
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure that part of that was also because, like, yeah, I was reading stuff that was meant for children, and
right.
I was not reading, like, you know, books that are trying to engage with philosophy or whatever. Not
Hmm.
that that's like that's not what I'm into, but I'm really trying to get smarter again. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to read harder books, and so I think that's part of it, but it's just it's a slog. I enjoy reading too.
Hmm.
I just like, even it's hard to get into it when it's like, okay, so I could like read and spend an hour getting through a chapter of this book and then like having to sit on that. Or I could open the little box that's already in my pocket
Hmm.
and get kind of just dopamine blasted into my brain for 3 hours straight with content that has been done like purely for me. Like this author was not writing with me in mind.
Right.
But TikTok is like, oh, I know that because it's 3 p.m. on a Sunday, you want to watch compilations of people slipping and falling.
Yes.
And it's right, I do.
Like now here I think it's an important question. Do you read fan fiction, yes or no?
No. And I
No,
never have.
really?
I know people
Okay.
are shocked that I was never like a Tumblr kid because of the way that I look and act.
I
But
unfortunately was, but I try to deny those allegations, but
yeah,
fucking
I would be loud about it if I had been a Tumblr kid, but
mhm.
that was never really my bag. I was like doing sports and stuff. And
Okay. All
also
right.
I didn't get on any social media until I was 16,
Oh,
which I
oh.
think is really was good for my brain.
Oh no, 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 definitely. You're like be glad that you started social media at 16. If you had started social media at like 10, 11, 12, like the rest of my generation, you would be so fucked at this point. Like
Yeah,
yeah, no,
no,
be glad you started that late. Holy shit.
I was pretty anti-technology when I was young.
Hmm.
I like both of my parents are boomers or like, boomer Gen X cusp.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And they had like some pretty I feel like they got the kind of Gen X like everything is bullshit man
Yeah.
mentality. And because I was their only kid, I got like that kind of spoon fed directly into my
Hmm.
brain. And so when they were like, social media is for losers, I was like, yeah, like it's actually not cool to care about your image like that. So I wasn't on that. And then also we got a ton of like lectures at my school about like
Right.
internet safety.
That I
And
remember,
so
yeah.
even when I was on the internet, I was using a fake name.
Hmm.
So like I was never, I don't know, I was pretty hard to find until I decided not to be.
Right. Yeah, I remember all like my internet safety was weird. We had like a bunch of like I shit you not, like Garfield, like the cartoon cat.
Yeah, of
Like it
course.
was Garfield giving you internet safety tips.
I would trust him with
Yeah,
my internet
you would
safety.
trust him.
I don't think that Garfield is falling down the all right pipeline, you know?
I would trust my internet safety with Garfield and not Dilbert.
Certainly not Dilbert. No, 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 no. Dilbert is on 4chan. Dilbert is
Dilbert's
Dilbert
on
is in
4chan.
racial chat rooms showing feet, you know? Uh, Um,
No.
but I Garfield is ICANN has cheeseburger. That's pretty harmless.
No, that would be normal.
Yeah. I also think I would trust I think I would trust Hobbes, but maybe not Calvin.
No, Hobbs would be the one trying to like gear you towards like all like fun educational like websites, and then Hobbs or no, and then Calvin would just be like, "So have you ever heard of Live Leak? Have you ever heard of?" Because you all
Calvin
know,
unfortunately would be a lively kid.
all
And
the
I,
all the 12-year-olds showing you beheading videos on Live Leak at like three like fucking 7 a.m. in homeroom. Like, yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, I actually am pretty familiar. I was again like very lucky that I was not a lively kid, but I was around enough people who were that I would occasionally see, like a Chinese escalator failure or
Ooh.
something. That's like a specific one that's kind of in there.
Yeah, no, oh God. The amount of lively kids that were at my school was insane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure.
But I mean, I did go to Mount Si High School in Snoqualmie, Washington, if any listeners are familiar with that school.
Big live leak population in wherever that is.
No, it's just that that whole high school just has a reputation in like my home county as being just so fucked. It's just
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
like when like my in between like the summer in between my junior and senior year of high school, my dad said like fuck Seattle and moved us to Spokane. And it was crazy me going here and being like, where's all like the drama? Where's all the and instead it's like your tip like an actual like stereotypical high school that's just boring as shit. And I was like, where is all of like the flavor? Where is all of this? Where is all
Right.
like the
You were hoping for
scandals?
more of like a euphoria type beat.
Yeah, like literally, like my high school, my old high school was basically like fucking Euphoria, and then I moved to a small town high school full of quote unquote normal kids, and I'm like, this is horseshit. I don't like this.
Yeah. I went to a small town high school.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking about then.
Yeah, that was kind of my experience. I mean I didn't know anything different, you know. I was just like that was what was normal to me. I would watch
Hmm.
shows like Friday Night Lights and be like, well, damn, they had more than 40 kids. But like other than that, like yeah, I was at all of the sporting events and I was going to prom and homecoming and doing my homework and like drinking whole milk.
Drinking whole milk. Ooh,
Yeah, not anymore. I'm an adult now, but as a
right.
kid, yeah, I would drink whole milk and then I would every morning I would have a bowl of cereal with whole milk
Hmm.
and then I would get to school and I would be like, why does my stomach hurt?
Yeah, no,
Uh,
honestly, Sam.
and then yeah, and I did that for years until I didn't realize that I was lactose intolerant until this year.
Damn.
When my partner was like, I think you're lactose intolerant, and I was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I've been drinking milk my whole life. And they were like, right, but haven't you had kind of mysterious and awful stomach problems your whole
Yeah.
life? And I was like, well, I guess that's a good counterpoint. But I still didn't believe them. And then one night, it was New Year's Eve, we had fondue. And it
Hmm.
was a really bad start to my year. And I was like, oh, maybe they're right, actually.
Are you one of those people who will like nickname yourself after whatever food you eat, the first food you eat on the new year, or no?
No, I didn't even know that that was a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until like fucking like 2 months ago. Apparently, some people are like, "Oh my God, the first thing you ate on New Year's was fucking oatmeal. We're gonna call you oatmeal for the rest of the year." Like, what the fuck?
I was with a group of people and we were all eating fondue, so I think that would have gotten confusing.
No, it's like okay, it's like your kielbasa, your grapes or whatever the fuck. I heard people dip fruit in cheese. I don't know.
Yeah, 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 totally. It was mostly bread.
Mostly bread. Okay, so it's like your ciabatta, your challah, your sourdough,
Right.
your.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right. Next question. I feel like that was such a long segue from what's something you're obsessed with that hasn't turned into a joke yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I've learned talking with people on this podcast is that there's a difference between queer comics and comics who are queer. Do you consider yourself to be a queer comic or a comic who just so happens to be queer?
Jesus. I I I think that I am both. Like
Mm-hmm.
I when we look at the scene where I spend like most of my time in and where I am getting like most of my money and stuff, it is
Mm-hmm.
from the queer scene. So
Right.
in that case I am a queer comic. And like obviously, I write with my community in mind and stuff, but also like the vast majority of audiences that you get at most shows are straight. That is
Yes.
just like statistically how things work. And
Cis,
I
straight,
do
yeah.
very well in cis straight rooms. I have been doing stand up for a long time and like obviously you adjust your material to the room that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it is crazy to not have material that works in straight rooms. Just like if this is something that you're trying to do long term. Uh, so like yeah, I consider myself a queer comic. I'm in no way like, you know, I have no shame about that.
Mm-hmm.
I love being queer. It is a large part of who I am, and a lot of what I talk about is queer stuff. But I think it's important if you want your career to kind of like go anywhere in a larger sense to be able to talk to straight people. And I wish that that wasn't the way that the world was, but
Yeah.
it is. And like at the same time, like I don't know, I run like an all transgender comedy show in Brooklyn that's been
Mm-hmm.
running for the past probably 4 years in June.
Nice.
And like I write for a trans led late night show,
Oh.
and like when I'm touring, it's typically with other queer and trans people because those are the people that I like spending my time around. No, no tea, no shade to straight
Mm-hmm.
people. Love them
Absolutely.
too, but like that's just less my bag. But at the same time, like I am still going up at clubs. So like I think that I think that I definitely lean more queer comic than comic who is queer, but
Mm-hmm.
also like I don't know, fuck a binary. Like
Fuck a binary.
I am out here doing both, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
in order to be successful as a queer performer, you have to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
Fuck
I'm not
it.
saying to write towards straight audiences
Right.
either. I just think that like the gatekeepers of the people who are kind of on the upper echelon are typically
Mm-hmm.
cis and straight. And so knowing how
Yeah.
to have those conversations with people while also not like losing yourself and your core audience is an important thing. But I also
Yeah.
think that like we're at a time right now where like kind of now more than ever you're able to build your own audience through like the internet and stuff
Like social
where
media.
like
Yeah.
there are people who are able to build an exclusively queer audience and play exclusively towards that audience, um, which is something that I have benefited enormously from.
Mm-hmm.
So like if if what you want to do is you want to be a queer comic who tells queer jokes for your queer audience, like that is something that is more feasible now than it has ever been, which is
Mm-hmm.
really awesome. And you can have a really successful career doing that. But I also think a lot of like, you know, the larger festivals, a lot of like when
Mm-hmm.
we're talking like Netflix is a joke and Just for Laughs Montreal and like late night and Comics Unleashed and like all of that type of stuff.
Right.
They're not homophobic. I'm not saying that. And like they do a
No.
good job of putting on queer and trans performers, but those are mostly run by straight people. And so like being able to speak their language is, if that's kind of a place you
Mm-hmm.
want to go, that's something you have to learn how to do.
Like that is some like sentiment that I have kind of heard like a lot when talking with people is like of course being queer is your core at your core is like the most important thing to you, but also at times you also need to learn how to like play the game, so to speak, to all the non-queers if you plan on making a career in comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Also, like I did comedy before I came out. So
That I
like
feel like gives you a leg up, definitely.
I've done both.
Hmm. All right, so I believe that kind of answered my third question, which is what does it mean to you to be a queer comic? I feel like that definitely encapsulated that question. So we're gonna skip that one and go to what's the most unhinged crowd reaction you've ever gotten?
I don't know. I think I I had a guy try to fight me after a show one time. I
Oh,
think that would probably do it. It was uh I think it was a show. It might have been a mic, to be honest. It was a long time ago.
yeah, yeah.
But there's this queer bar that no longer exists anymore in
Damn. All right.
Northampton, Massachusetts,
Mm,
called the Majestic, and they
okay.
used to have, I think, on Mondays, like a not exclusively queer, but a queer centered open mic.
Right.
And in that area, there were like it was a pretty small scene, and a lot of the mics around there, like there was a mic at this place called Bishop's, would kind of have a lot more. They were just less of like a safe space for queer performers.
Mm-hmm.
Like my big memory from going up there is having a guy use me for crowd work and call me Buffalo Bill. And
Oh,
I was like, okay, totally awesome. So I spent most of my time at the queer mic. But the problem was right after the mic was emo night at the bar, and they would
oh,
do like karaoke, and there was a queer dodgeball league that would come for emo night. Um, but they would always show up a little early and then talk really loud in the back.
right.
Um, which is a classic.
Yeah.
And I was really young. I was like 21 at the time, and precocious and on the mic, and they were talking really loud. And I told them to shut the fuck up
Oh.
from the stage. And then after my set, some like drunk dodgeball gay came up to me and was like, I think it's really disrespectful that you're talking to us like that. And like we're paying customers, and unless you're like part of the staff, like it is not your place to tell us to shut up. And I was like, all right, man. And I tried to walk past him because I was like, cool, whatever. Um, and as I tried to walk past him, he put his hand on my chest and stopped me and was like, "No, like you were disrespectful and you need to apologize." And I got in his face and I was like, "No, actually, you're being really fucking disrespectful by talking to me like this right now and by putting your fucking hands on me." And I think that me getting a little aggressive back kind of spooked him, and he put his hands up and let me walk away. Uh, but um, that was the last time that I've explicitly told someone to shut the fuck up on stage. I've definitely had my moments of like asking people to be quiet, but I'm a lot less aggressive about it now because I
Mm-hmm.
realized, like in that moment, being like, young, dumb, and full of cum, I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll tell this guy to shut the fuck up, and I'll like. If he gets in my face, I'll get back in his face and I'll tell him to back off. But then, like, kind of
Mm-hmm.
leaving that interaction, I the adrenaline wore off, and I remembered what I looked like and what that guy looked like, and the fact that he had probably 60 pounds of muscle on me, and that if me getting back in his face had gone poorly, uh, he would have used his gay dodgeball strength to kind of beat me into a weird transgender puddle on the floor of that bar.
Wow.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'm not particularly trying to fight people.
Right.
And so these days I'm a lot more gentle when I'm telling people to shut up, unless they're like really, really you know, asking for it in a major way.
Yeah.
But at this point I am doing less stand up in tiny little queer bars and more in
Yeah.
venues where I can ask security to get people to leave.
That is a good strategy, but also like so typical of the dodgeball bisexual to back away from confrontation at the first moment.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, listen, he started it. He was really going guns blazing. But I don't know.
Hmm.
I guess I can get scary when I'm in your face.
I guess so. What belief about comedy did you have early on that you've totally unlearned?
I think I've unlearned that every joke has to be for every audience.
Yeah,
Um, it's important to know who you're performing for.
right.
And like some audiences are going to respond better to certain things than others. And that's like something that you can kind of suss out. But like, I do have jokes that are pretty niche and only work in certain crowds, and that just means that I don't do them all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but I think as a kid, like when I started, especially like being really young and being closeted, and also like my main experience with comedy being either being through like, the specials that I would listen to on the radio and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, was a lot of like hearing the most mainstream comedians doing the most mainstream material.
Right.
Um, and I think that that is just like not the world that we live in anymore. And I think that you can see that through the success of people like Chris Fleming, where
Hmm.
like their jokes contain some references that are truly niche.
Yeah.
Um, but for the audience that gets them, they really enjoy that someone is speaking seemingly directly to them.
Hmm.
And for the people who don't get the joke, I think that they can tell that it is funny without necessarily getting the reference, because laughter is very social and they're seeing everyone else do it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yeah. I definitely uh relate to that sentiment a little bit that not every joke is for every audience. And like something that I like this is kind of like a side tangent. Coming up I have a show where the requirement is all the material needs to be totally like nerd geek themed, which is great because I've had a lot of material I've been sitting on that so many comics have told me not to do because those types of jokes aren't as receptive like as like your typical like, oh, I'm at open mic at Chili's, let me just tell a cum joke right now, like that's
yeah, no, for sure. I struggle with a themed show sometimes because
hmm.
like not all I don't know, when people are like, do your nerd jokes, I'm like, I don't think I have any,
Yeah,
you know?
like you kind of grew up as like a jock. I grew up as a nerd, so nerd material for me, I feel like is definitely something up my alley. Like fucking.
I have my nerdy moments, but I think
Mhm.
that material specifically dedicated towards that is like, I don't know. It's the same reason, like if you asked me to do material specifically dedicated towards like the Titanic, I'd be like, I think I have something on boats, you know?
So those assholes playing the music while everyone else is trying to escape the boat, what's their fucking deal? Who the fuck plays music while everyone's trying to like run for their fucking lives? What
Yeah.
asshole? Like
And what's the deal with ocean liner food?
I I've never understood why so many comics are like, what's the deal with airline food until I like actually became a comedian and realized like, oh yeah, they're all on planes like 90% of the time. I bet they hate the food on fucking airplanes. But it's
Yeah.
it's it's so weird that that's like a universal premise, I think.
I mean, I don't know. People, when you fly, they do give you that Biscoff, you know?
True, yeah, but it's like imagine like thousands of comedians all having a joke about this, basically the same joke about Biscoff cookies though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to imagine it. I've heard it, you know?
That yeah, exactly, yeah.
It is, everyone knows about the Biscoff.
Yeah,
Like that is a joke that is for everyone. And
that's
also
true.
I think that like when we're talking about like not every joke has to be for every audience,
Hmm.
like airline food jokes are probably for every audience. And also there's a reason that I don't think that they're particularly funny or groundbreaking.
Yeah,
I think that sometimes by getting more broad with your topic and losing some of that specificity, it makes it so that it doesn't hit as hard.
right. All right, so let me just jump to this next question here. My phone locked. So, when talking with a lot of other queer comics about the comedy community as a whole, I've gotten a lot of mixed reactions. Some say it's one of the most welcoming and understanding communities that there is, and others say that it's this incredibly toxic culture. Where do you stand on that, and or do you have a different opinion altogether?
There's a tweet that I think about a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's I don't know, man. I think it depends.
Mm-hmm.
It and I kind of think that about everything. Where I'm like, yeah, some of my best and closest friends are people that I have met doing comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, two of my three roommates are also comedians. I love them very dearly. Um, and also like, yeah, I have had some like kind of pretty heinous experiences doing stand up. Um, and not anything is going to be all the way good or all the way bad all of the time. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, it's doing comedy sucks because doing art is hard. Because making your living as an artist is hard, and
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to be encountering a lot of people who have self-selected to want to have a group of people listen to them speak into a microphone for an hour. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be a weird group of people. But I don't think that like I find it any particularly better or worse than any other group of people. I
Mm-hmm.
think that they're just louder. But like I think that I have not experienced more transphobia per capita doing stand up than I have being transgender in the world.
Right.
And like I don't know, I have like I run an all transgender comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's like a really incredible, lovely space for a lot of up and coming queer comedians. And I think that that's really wonderful. And then also like I will go into Manhattan and do shows at like kind of whatever club you're thinking of. And like, yeah, occasionally there will be people there who have a bit of a phobic vibe, but
Mm-hmm.
like for the most part, I think that we as queer people and especially as queer comedians kind of get so in our head about like what we have heard about comedy being super toxic
Mm-hmm.
that we come in with an already like we come in expecting to be hurt or offended or discriminated against. And sometimes that makes our vibe weird and bad when we
Mm-hmm.
enter a space. And I think like I'm not saying like let your guard down, but I
Right.
think like go into a space being like you do something that these people respect. And like as long as you can kind of put your best foot forward with putting good work out there, um, you should assume that people are going to try and accept you at that because and then like be not like shocked and caught off guard, but like
Mm-hmm.
assume that people are going to be normal to you and they are a lot more likely to be normal to you.
Right.
Don't leave your drink uncovered, but
Mm-hmm.
like, you know,
Yeah.
be go in there being friendly and expecting people to be friendly in return and typically they will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is kind of a rule of can I even say rule of thumb anymore? I don't know. Uh that is like I'll just say it. A rule of thumb that I do hear a lot of people say is just like there is some like there is this whole reputation of like a toxic culture amongst like non-queer comedians towards queer comedians, but like I do appreciate that sentiment too of like don't go in expecting it to be toxic.
Yeah, right. So that to a hammer everything looks like a nail, you know?
Yeah.
Like yeah, people are occasionally going to be weird and homophobic to you the same
Hmm.
way that people are going to occasionally be weird and homophobic to you at work or at school or on the train or at the grocery store.
Right.
Like that is just kind of how the world works. But the same way that most people are going to be chill to you in the outside world, I have found that most comedians, while they might not understand your deal, are going to be like, well, here's like another person that does the thing that I do, and then kind of start from there and have a normal conversation with you.
Right.
They might ask you a weird question about your genitals eventually, but that they don't normally lead with that.
They don't lead with that, no. Welcome everyone to this episode's ad segment. As always, thank you so much for listening up to this point, and let's jump right into the ads, and then I got something to talk about here at the end of the ad segment. So first things first, I'm gonna plug all of Sunny's social media. So right now we have Sunny L Comedy on Instagram. You can find T4T Comedy at T4T Comedy. As mentioned earlier, Sunny is a writer for Going Down with Yurman, and you can find that at Going Down TV on Instagram. And I didn't know this before I recorded, but Sunny also has a full stand-up special on YouTube, Sunny Laprade Queer Enough, so go ahead and check that out. As always, you can find my personal socials on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads at CJW_comedy. You can find my YouTube at simply just CJW Comedy. And you can find my Bluesky at cjwcomedy.bsky.social. And my cat has now entered the room. And then, forgive me, it's been a hot minute since I've checked the podcast socials, but I believe the social medias for Out Loud, a Queer Comedy Podcast is Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at Out Loud Comedy Podcast. Now for the little bit of this ad segment that I was kind of regretting, or not really regretting, but like not looking forward to making. So for those of you who either listened to the last episode or even listened to the beginning of this episode before, I told people to skip it, I have been working on a queer-centric sitcom based in Spokane, Washington called Almost Not Quite. I wasn't the guy, trying to put everything together. I was just an actor on it. And the guy who was putting it on, his name was Jonathan Sheffield. He was the creator. He was the main screenwriter. He was the main actor. He was the showrunner. Almost Not Quite was his baby. And on Saturday, he passed away in his sleep. Right now, I'm recording this little segment on May 6th, which was 3 days after I had recorded that intro, which, yeah, I got the news shortly after I was done editing that. And so I kind of just took 3 days to kind of let myself grieve and collect myself. And yeah. What I was going to do on this part of the podcast, of course, was I was going to plug the crowdfunding site that the show is doing, but I, as of right now, have no idea if we're even continuing the show without, our main actor and our creator, or if it's just outright canceled. But since I don't know that, I don't feel comfortable promoting the crowdfunding just because there's so many unknowns as of right now. One thing that I am going to plug, however, is so the Spokane Pride organization is doing a thing called the Grand Marshal Awards, Grand Marshal nominations. And I want to get Jonathan Sheffield kind of in memoriam nominated for an award. So I'm going to post a link to it in the show notes, description, whatever. Originally, what I have been doing and encouraging people to do is to just get him voted in for the Over the Rainbow Grand Marshal Award, which is what I wanted him to get voted for and what me and a few other people wanted him to get voted in for. But now what the website's done is, I think because I had so many people just write in nothing but just Jonathan Sheffield for that one award, it wouldn't let people submit it until they've written something in for every award. So now what I'm encouraging everyone to do is to just write in Jonathan Sheffield for every award listed on that page. And yeah, I feel like I need to do something and I don't know what to do. And this is the best idea I've come up with. So it would really mean a lot to me if people went and did that. Thank you. And of course, I completely forgot to plug show dates. I'm so sorry. I had mentioned this at the top of the show, but Sonny Laprade is currently on the Big Dogs tour with Emma Dallenberg. Dallenberg? It's been 3 days and I still have yet to figure that the fuck out. My apologies. So this month, in the month of May, on the 9th, that tour is going to be in Kansas City, Missouri. I think MO means Missouri. On the 23rd of May, it's going to be in Minneapolis, Minnesota. In Buffalo, New York on the 28th, Rochester, New York on the 29th, and Toronto, Canada on the 30th. Then on July 8th, the tour will resume in San Francisco, California. On the 11th, it's going to be in Los Angeles, California. Then in September, the tour will be in Denver, Colorado on the 10th and Philadelphia, PA on the 26th. And then from what I see, the final show date will be October 14th in Washington, D.C. If you're listening from any of those cities and want to give Sunny some support, just come on down, watch a show. It'll be fun. And then as for my shows on the 28th and 29th, I think it's the 20th and 29th, hang on the 26th and 27th, of May at the end of this month, I will be at the Spokane Comedy Club. The 26th is just your regular open mic. And then on the 27th, it's going to be the Never Ending open mic. There's listed to be about 50 comedians all doing 3-minute sets, and it's just going to be nonstop comedy after comedy after comedy. Some of it's going to be good, some of it's going to be bad, because there's going to be people just performing jokes for the first time, testing out new material. Who the fuck knows? It's going to be a great night. Just come on, check it out. It's going to be a free show, too, so if you got nothing better to do, come on down. I think that's going to be it for this episode's ad segment. Thank you so much for listening, and yeah, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the video, or episode. Fuck it. Recording in progress. All right. Do anything fun on your little 10-minute interlude?
Have a little water.
Hello.
Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I went and I got a lime seltzer because I'm trying to quit Diet Coke.
Hell yeah! Congrats.
And I hate that because I am such a slut for Diet Coke. It is not funny. I have joked on stage I will suck a dick for Diet Coke. It is not good.
I mean, people love that stuff, man.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, but also you only value yourself at a Diet Coke when you could be charging more. It's like a Diet Coke's all I need.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's your comedy hot take that could get you canceled by other comics? Not by the audience, but by other comics.
I think that once you reach a certain point, open mics aren't useful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that when you've been doing stand-up for a long time, you kind of get a better sense of what a joke looks and sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying just go up there head empty and try shit.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're getting booked enough that you're consistently doing shows, especially if you're doing longer sets, just put some newer stuff in the middle and try it out there, because an actual audience is going to be way more of a useful test group than a room full of comedians who sometimes will laugh at things that normal audiences won't, and sometimes won't
Hmm.
laugh at things that normal audiences will. I think that open mics are discouraging and unsupportive and have kind of a rancid vibe. And I think that they are incredibly important for people who are newer.
Hmm.
And they're great places to like network and stuff. But if if you're booked consistently and you have enough experience to kind of have a sense of what jokes sound and feel like, I don't think that they're necessary and
Okay.
are maybe even counterproductive.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see where you come from there. Um, Definitely one thing that I have always found weird is what would people consider networking, so to speak, you know what I mean? Like like growing up, I always had this image that like networking was like, you being at some like fucking business retreat and talking with like executives or what the fuck ever. And then right now, someone legit offered to take me to a festival where celebrities go and do drugs in the desert. And I was like, so, like, I never considered the idea of networking being doing drugs in the desert with celebrities.
Yeah, networking can be anything.
So I don't tell people I'm doing drugs in the desert. I tell people I'm going to a networking event. I'm
Yeah, exactly.
like, I think the guy who offered to take me said that he once did body shots with Jason Momoa's stunt double. Like, I think I'm like, that's the networking opportunities you're offering me right now.
Do you consider Jason Momoa's stunt double to be a celebrity?
Well, I think that was just the name, like one name drop. He also name dropped a few other like big comedians. I don't know if I want to mention their names on this podcast. If I do, I'll just cut it
Totally.
out.
Got it. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Like
yeah.
like he has done mushrooms with those two in the desert in California.
Good for him. I mean, that sounds fun. They seem like fun people to do mushrooms with.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's networking apparently. That's
Yeah, that sounds like networking. I think a lot of networking that I've done is um, doing free drugs for more successful comedians.
just doing drugs in the green room of a of a comedy club just with a big
Not
name comedian.
not really a green room per se. I don't. I only ever do stand up completely sober. I'm also like
Right.
I am not sober as a
Hmm.
person. But I am like I very much fit the Gen Z stereotype of like I don't really drink. I don't really do drugs. Like I have
I'll do them
I
sometimes just to have a good time, but I don't have like an addiction to them. Like I don't have like a chronic need to have a drink or a chronic need to like smoke weed or something.
well, okay,
Well,
if we're counting
if we're
weed,
counting weed.
I've definitely had my moments where I have been smoking like an unbelievable amount of weed, which I do think is also
Hmm.
a Gen Z thing. But
Right.
with drinking, it's like I drink on average less than one drink a week. Um,
No, I feel
and
that.
like I have, I don't know, I don't do drugs basically ever,
Right.
unless we're talking about weed, in which case it is, I don't know, not even crazy frequent with that anymore these days.
Right.
And I think that starting stand up so young, I got really nerdy about it, and I listened to a lot of podcasts and I read a lot of interviews and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And so many comedians like John Mulaney and Artie Lang and like so many comedians who have struggled with addiction during their
Hmm.
time, like a lot of what they talk about is how they kind of coupled um their addiction with their comedy, where it's like, oh,
Right.
like, well, they would have like a drink or two before they went on stage. And then they kind of struggle with this thing later when they're getting sober of like, well, how do I know that I'm funny if I'm not buzzed? Or like
Right.
having to like relearn how to do stand up sober. And that means that like very young, I learned to kind of separate the church and state in that
Hmm.
aspect. And so now it's like, you know, if the bar gives me a drink ticket, I will have like half a drink or maybe
Right.
one drink before my set, but it is never enough that I am feeling it. I am never doing stand up wasted. I am never doing stand up high.
Right.
Uh, and like that's just I also think that that is like to the benefit of my set and to the benefit of my audience, where it's
Yeah.
like I just I know many people who are good at doing stand up under the influence, and I am not one of them.
Real. I've never really attempted to do stand up under the influence, like so to speak. Like I know there was like one time where I like took a few hits off a dab pen before walking into the comedy club for like an open mic. But because my name was so low down the list, I had already sobered up by the time I got onto stage.
Yeah, I don't even do that.
You don't even do that, no?
If like
Just to like help the anxiety a little bit, which
no.
is crazy because weed just gives you more anxiety.
Yeah, I think that the idea of doing substances with a purpose like that um is a very easy way to kind of build up a reliance that's based on your habit,
Hmm.
which is not something that I am really in the practice of doing. Where it's like, oh, if you're smoking weed because you're anxious,
Hmm.
I think that you then associate weed with not feeling anxious,
Yes.
instead of like kind of learning
Like coping
other
skills,
long-term
like
ways to cope with that. Yeah.
yeah.
And I've seen that and like no Tino shade to drug users.
Yeah,
I
yeah, no,
am
absolutely
like
not.
I am not sober. I do drugs and alcohol. I am friends with many people who do in like much more
Hmm.
frequency and larger quantities than I do.
Yeah,
Uh and like if it works for those people, it works for those people.
it
But
works
I
for
just
you.
like
Yeah.
I know for a fact that it doesn't work for me because I've done stand up high before and it was really bad. And I've done stand up drunk before and it was really bad. And like
Yeah.
occasionally if I get booked on a show last minute, like if someone drops and people are like,
Hmm.
"Oh, Sonny, do you want to be on this show?" and like, it's already the evening and so I have been a little drunk or I did get a little high earlier. I like won't say no to that show, but
Hmm.
it's never a show that I'm particularly proud of.
Right, that's fair. How now what I want to know is how do you feel about these like kind of touring comedy shows where the whole purpose is that the comics are like drunk or high? Like for instance, here in Washington, we have this thing called the Dope Show, where it's this one comedian who will get a bunch of comics to do a set and then get off stage, get super high, and then come back and do another set just absolutely like fucking baked.
That's awesome. I think that
Yeah,
that's like a different thing, you know?
that's a
Like
different thing entirely. Okay.
and also okay, for the record, I do not judge people who do
Yeah,
stand
no,
up drunk or
absolutely
high.
not. No, no
Um,
judgment.
but yeah, if the audience is there specifically to see a show where the comics get ripped, like go for it.
Okay.
And if I were to get booked on a show that was like a weed show, I would absolutely do that. That sounds very fun. But
Okay.
like I don't know. I don't like to smoke weed where people can't see me doing it.
That's fair.
Because I want people to know why I am acting the way that I'm acting.
That's
Right.
fair.
So
Right.
like if I'm at a show where the purpose is like the comedians are high, I will absolutely get high before the show and I'll have a great time.
Yeah.
But if I get high and then I'm on a regular show, I'm gonna be so paranoid about like, do people think I'm being weird? Do people think this is what I'm
Hmm.
normally like? Do people not know that I'm high? You know?
Yeah. Okay. Th what the fuck? I just lost my train of thought. What the fuck just happened? My brain, literally, I just felt like a switch turn off in my brain. I was just like, nope, no thought, head empty. Is that how himbos feel all the time? Just, just having a thought and then absolutely nothing.
Perhaps.
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
know.
Uh, who is a comedian you would love to open for but are terrified to?
Probably Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle.
Uh,
Really?
I'm no, I'm fucking with you.
Okay. I was taking you seriously for a second. I was like, really?
I don't know. I mean, like, I would love to open for anyone who wants me to open for them.
Okay.
But terrified to open for, I guess, like anyone with a much larger audience than me. I think the most people I've ever done stand up for is maybe 300. which is cool,
Hmm.
but you see people doing these like stadiums with like thousands of people. Like I saw John Mulaney a couple years ago at Madison Square Garden,
Hmm.
and that's like so many people.
That is a lot of
Um,
people.
and I think that that would be intimidating more than like the idea of opening for a particular comic being intimidating, you
Okay.
know? Um,
Like you would be more intimidated by the size of the audience than you would by like the presence of the comedian itself.
yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I mean, I think it would be like I w- John Mulaney is, I was 15 when I started stand up. So, of
Hmm.
course, John Mulaney was the reason I started stand up.
Oh
I was
yeah.
a teenager in 2015. That was like, I was a very early adopter of like right when New in Town came out. I was like, this is the
Okay.
greatest man who ever lived. Um, I like went as him for Halloween one year. Like that was my thing. And
Yeah.
so I think that like probably it would be a little weird to open for him, but I don't ever really see that happening. So I'm not super worried about that. And also like I'm pretty confident about my ability to handle myself socially in
Yeah.
those situations. And I think that I could be like, hey, your work was really important to me when I was younger. And it's like an honor to be collaborating with you or whatever.
Hmm.
But I don't think that I would freak out, you know?
My problem is that I feel like I would freak out solely because like my thing with John Mulaney is that like of course like growing up I was a huge John Mulaney fan, and I have a fiance who weirdly does not like stand-up like I didn't like we were already dating before I started getting into stand-up, and it's wild to find a comedian that my fiance actually likes, and John Mulaney is like one of like three that I actually found that he likes. And like John Mulaney is coming to my city in like August, and I am trying to bust my ass to get tickets.
Yeah.
And
I mean, he's incredible.
like he is incredible. He is an absolutely incredible comedian, and it's crazy how like he. Okay, I gotta ask you this right now, as a fellow John Mulaney fan. When the news broke in like 2020 about him going to rehab, were you shocked?
I don't know. Um, like I wasn't particularly shocked in the sense that I am not that invested in the personal lives of celebrities, I think. Like I only really engaged with him through his work. I'm
Right.
not like watching fan edits or
Get
making fan edits or
real.
any of that stuff where it's like he talked pretty openly about his addiction and his
Hmm.
work, especially like the period of time that I was most into John Mulaney was right when New in Town came out. So the
Yeah.
top part in New in Town, he talks a lot about addiction in those.
Hmm.
And so like that was something that I had known that he had struggled with. Um, and so I felt like, I don't know, empathetic that that seems hard
Hmm.
to deal with, but not particularly invested either way because
Right.
I'm just like I feel empathy for that as someone who has also had friends who have dealt with addiction and stuff. But like I'm not one for celebrity gossip, I guess. I think that having especially having engaged with his work,
Hmm.
I like to think that I think of him as like a human being, you know? And I was like, yeah, I know a lot of comics who also have struggles in their personal lives. I'm
Hmm.
not particularly surprised. What? Extra, read all about it. Stand-up comedian has messy personal life. No
Oh,
way.
holy shit. Oh my God, I'm shocked. But
Yeah.
no, I think my thing was during COVID when I had literally nothing to fucking do, I feel like I just kind of started looking into celebrities' personal lives because like I had nothing better to do with my time. Because I
Yeah.
feel like no one really had anything better to do with their time during the pandemic where they're all stuck at home. I feel
I guess
like.
like having done comedy for this long and having like been in rooms with like pretty large comics and
Hmm.
spoken to them and stuff, you get a sense pretty early on of like, oh, these are just
Like people.
people. They're just like people who happen to be famous. But like I see so many think pieces
Mm-hmm.
being like treating people as like a symbol. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
I see this specifically with Ivy Woke a lot,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone is like, oh, like Ivy Woke represents this. Ivy Woke represents Gen Z's fascination with women who blah blah blah, or Ivy Woke is Gen Z's Lena Dunham.
Right.
Um, and like I don't know, to me, Ivy Woke is just like a girl who's around.
Right.
She's like she's very nice in person. We have had like conversations. She is sweet in the green room. And like that's kind of I don't see her as like this symbol, and it weirds me out seeing so much discourse that's
Mm-hmm.
speaking about her as if she is not like a genuine human being. And also someone who is very young. Um, like she is
Mm-hmm.
just a girl, the
Yeah.
same way that John Mulaney is just a guy. And like they're all so when he went to rehab, I was like, man, that sucks that that's probably like hard for him and his family. But
Right.
I wasn't like, what? No
No.
way.
My thing was when this did happen, this was kind of before I did like get into stand up and started like doing stand up comedy myself. So I can kind of see like this huge disconnect where like if you are just like a comedy fan and like you kind of view these people like on a pedestal, how that can be totally insane to you versus now like when you are a comedian, you're like, "Oh yeah, no, this is just the job," you know? Like they
Yeah.
like yeah. Like it's just yeah. Like I don't
Yeah.
know of any other better way to describe it, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, like all of your favorite artists are just people. It's the same way that I see people talking about Chapel Roan,
Hmm.
where I'm like, I do think that we are forgetting that Chapel Roan is just like some girl in her 20s who has been thrust into the spotlight in a crazy way. And she
Yes.
makes incredible art, but that
Absolutely.
doesn't absolve her from being like a real person who has real emotions and reacts to things in real ways.
Hmm. Yeah, no, like I do know, like when celebrity scandals do just like pop up, there will be parts where for like a moment I'm like, oh my God, but then I'm like, guys, like they're a normal human being doing normal human being shit. Just because we put them on a pedestal does not mean like, oh my God, it's such a scandal. No, they're doing the same
Yeah.
shit that like your fucking dad would do, except unlike your dad, like Chaperone is like imagine if your dad was famous, people would give a shit about like what he's doing.
Yeah. I think it's different if you're like a billionaire or a politician, but
Yeah.
like for artists, I'm like, who cares? I think. Who care? Ooh, ooh, the media says that a lesbian is being mean. What?
Oh my
That's
God.
crazy. It's not like they've been saying that about us forever.
Oh my God. How dare a famous lesbian be famous where instead of like, the not famous lesbians at every gay bar I walk into. Oh my God. No way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I feel like as a queer person, I'm like, oh my God, fork found in kitchen. Lesbian was mean to someone. Like,
Right. Well, I not even that's not even me being like lesbians are mean. It's
yeah,
more
no,
being like,
that's me
I
just
don't know,
like
people
egging up the
people
stereotype, so to speak. Yeah.
right. Well, I'm like people love to talk shit about
Hmm.
lesbians being mean because lesbians I think that a lot of it is that lesbians decenter men and a lot of men are not used to not being the center of attention, and
That
so they're
is
like
so
this
much
girl was
true. That is so
so
true.
mean to me,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't know, whenever people are like Chapel Roan is being mean, I'm like, was she being mean, or was she just being a normal lesbian? Was she just kind of having paparazzi be insane to her?
Right. And didn't it turn out that like the security like are we talking about the instance with like the security guard? Is that like what we're talking about with Chaperone right now?
I don't know. I feel like every 3 months something comes out about how Chapel Roan was incredibly, viciously cruel to someone, and I'm like, okay, good for her.
I
Sorry,
think
how
it's sorry,
how dare a white girl, how dare a white girl
be
be
a
a
white
little
girl.
rude?
Yeah.
It'd be a little rude and make gorgeous music. Like
How dare
I
she?
just I could not I actually could not care any less if Chappell Roan is mean to people. And frankly,
Absolutely.
maybe she should be.
Maybe. Like I feel like when you're at a certain status, you have the right to just crash out every so often. I feel like.
Yeah, and like I don't know, maybe there's context I don't know. Again, I don't really pay attention to celebrity gossip. So like maybe she like drop kicked a baby and I'm like and now I'm defending that.
I
And if
mean,
that's the case, like
that's
whoops.
that's close to what happened, but
But it seems to me like someone on her team did something that she didn't know about and now people are being misogynistic and a little lesbophobic towards her and it's like
no,
whatever.
here's what's crazy. Because I don't know if you did look into this or not, but
I did not.
so the recent chaperone controversy was that apparently the child of the actor Jude Law and like some like football or like some soccer player tried to go up to chaperone while she was like having dinner at a hotel for like some music festival happening in Brazil, and a security guard approached this child and made the child cry for trying to approach Chaperone. And so everyone assumed it was Chaperone's bodyguard, and everyone blamed Chaperone for it. But then the bodyguard just like came out and said, "I'm not associated with Chaperone. I just saw a child trying to annoy a celebrity and decided to be a shithead to that child."
Right. And so why are people mad at her, I
Get
guess?
right. Well, people were mad at her because they thought it was her security guard.
Even if it was her security guard, that's not her.
Right.
Like,
They like that's
I
the
don't know.
people she pays. Like
She's
that's
been like, she was like, as far as celebrities go, pretty vocal about Palestine pretty early
hmm
on. She, uh, like, kind of, she took steps to take herself off a label with someone who was like named in the Epstein files.
yeah, that
Um, And I just think that if she was not a very openly queer woman, we would be having a very different conversation about this. Like
right.
male celebrities doing shit like this would not make headlines. Male celebrities are like actually beating people and then going on
Yeah,
like stadium tours.
yeah, like male celebrities do the same if not worse things and then no one gives a shit.
Yeah, I mean, look at fucking Chris Brown. Look at Chris D'Elia.
Mhm.
Look at uh Kanye West. Look at fucking like all of these. Look at Louis C.K. You know,
Louis, oh my God, not fucking
all of
Louis CK.
these cis straight men
hmm
are allowed to have much worse transgressions, and we don't really hear about it, or we do hear about it, and then their career comes back in a couple years and is fine. Like, I'm sorry that I don't care about Chapel Roan, but there are men who are like raping people for real.
I do think it's crazy that Louis CK non-consensually jerked off in front of a bunch of women and is now this year coming out with a comedy special on Netflix. Like how the fuck
That doesn't surprise me at all.
like
He's like won a Grammy since then. I
Jesus Christ.
there I just like the no I am never going to be surprised at men being rewarded for bad behavior. I just have been alive too long.
I think my problem is that I wasn't so socially aware as like back then as I am now, to the point where now I'm actually like, what the fuck is happening? Why is no one doing anything? But now it's like, oh yeah, it's because no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
All right, now for a total topic change. If you had diplomatic immunity for 24 hours, how would you use it?
What is diplomatic immunity?
Okay, so this is the best way I can describe it. So imagine, if you will, that you could get away with any crime whatsoever solely for like say being a diplomat. Like for it like
Totally. So like purge rules.
yeah, like total like purge rules. Like the best example I like to give is I don't know if like you read comic books, but there's this bit in the Batman comics where the Joker brutally murders Robin with a crowbar. And then Batman crashes the fuck out, almost tries to kill the Joker, and then Superman stops him because apparently the Joker is the UN ambassador to Iran and has diplomatic immunity, so can ergo get away with brutally murdering a child with a crowbar.
I mean,
So
I don't know.
just to let you know, this is the baseline of what diplomatic immunity is in my
Yeah,
mind.
I guess there's some CEOs that I have my eye on.
Oh,
Um, I'm not, I am not,
saying
uh, I am not particularly, I don't know, my life is like fine. I
right,
guess I would like to get diplomatic immunity on tax day and not have to pay my taxes.
real.
But like, there's not a lot of stuff that I'm like, man, I wish I could get away with other than like kind of largely overthrowing capitalism and changing the state of the world. But
Hmm.
that seems pretty hard if I only have one day.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
But you know, kind of if I have diplomatic immunity for the day, I'm doing as many steps as I can to kind of overthrow capitalism in that time.
I'm not saying that Luigi would have gotten away with it if he was the UN ambassador to Iran, but
Right, for sure.
right,
For
for
sure,
sure.
exactly. I wouldn't actually do anything. I don't know anyone's address and I don't own any weapons. And I'm not a threat
Yep.
to anyone. And I am a comedian. And if you're kind of on the FBI and you're watching this, I don't know, I'm a pussy and I never leave my house. So,
Saying this to cover yourself legally. That's
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm not planning anything. Wink, wink. Let's assume you go to therapy, which as a comedian is very likely not happening, but let's just say that it is. If you could choose any fictional character to be your therapist, who would it be and why?
Maybe the Grinch.
Ooh, that's a choice I haven't heard yet. All right.
Um, I like that, you know, at the end his heart grew three sizes, and so I feel like he would have like a lot of empathy and understanding. But also, I don't want a therapist who has never experienced hardship.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
that in order to kind of meet me where I'm at, you need to have gone through something. And the Grinch, like, was kind of isolated for all of his upbringing, but
Hmm.
then eventually found the power of community. And I think that that's something that's really important to me. And I also think it's important to me that he survived.
Well, okay. Yeah. The I would definitely of all the answers I've heard, I'm definitely putting Grinch in top five for sure.
Okay, how many
For sure.
answers have you heard?
A lot of times I've heard like a really common one is Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting specifically.
Oh, well, yeah, that probably would have
Yeah,
been a better answer, huh?
yeah, but like at the same time, it's like you're choosing a character who is already a therapist. Choose a
Yeah,
character like choose like everyone. I like to leave this question open for interpretation, so anyone can answer it however they want to answer it. But I just feel like if you could choose any character in all of fiction, and you choose one that's already a therapist, like just go to a real therapist.
yeah. I mean, it's definitely a better answer than mine. I don't know if it's
Hmm.
more creative.
Yeah, yeah, fair. My go-to answer is a character from a video game called the Milkman, whose entire shtick is just he is the milkman and his milk is delicious. I feel like if I drank his milk, it would cure my all of my mental disorders, I feel like.
Right, yeah, that's not a therapist, that's a psychologist. Or
There's
a
a difference.
psychiatrist. That's a
There's a
psychiatrist.
is there a
Psychiatrists are the ones who prescribe medication. Therapists are the ones who talk to you. If he's giving you the milk, that feels like a psychiatrist. If the milk is the thing that's curing you and not your interactions with him.
it's just now occurred to me in this moment that there's a difference between a therapist and a psychiatrist.
Yeah. Oh, I've been in therapy since I was 18. I
Oh,
am I'm pretty familiar with the inner workings.
I went to therapy for like 5 months when I was 23, and then my therapist just ghosted me out of nowhere, and now I just have a distrust for therapists.
I don't think that every therapist is awesome.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of bad ones out there, and it's important to shop around. But I don't think that I would be in the place that I am with my career if I
Hmm.
hadn't kind of taken steps to make my life easier.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely fair. I just personally, I just think it's hard to talk to a therapist about your like abandonment issues and then get abandoned by your therapist. I think.
Yeah, well, that's a shitty therapist,
Yeah,
I
I
guess.
feel like
They're
that.
not all like that, I swear.
Okay. Um, how does being queer affect your comedy? How has your perspective made you stand out compared to non-queer comedians?
Well, I don't think that non-queer comedians talk about injecting hormones that often. So I think there's that.
Unless you're Joe Rogan, which,
Right. Yeah.
right.
I think that it's affected my material a lot,
Hmm.
obviously. But I also think that like being queer is kind of embracing being like authentically who you are and
Hmm.
kind of bucking any like limits and expectations that other people try to set on you.
Hmm.
And I think that that is a really valuable perspective to have as someone who is trying to kind of craft a unique voice.
Yeah.
Because doing stand up is all about your voice and projecting a character of who you are, as
Hmm.
opposed to just like being yourself on stage. Um, and I think that it's kind of, again, as someone who started stand up before I came out, there's very a chicken and the egg thing of like how much has me being queer affected my stand up and how much has my me being a comedian affected my queerness, where it's like
Hmm.
a lot of stuff that I talk about, a lot of stuff that a lot of things that I embody are things that I kind of worked out through talking about them on stage.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that just like remembering that you can be whatever you want and your stage presence can be whatever you want, um, is very helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is definitely some advice I will certainly take to heart for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, don't try to, you know, it's obviously like, good artists borrow, great artists steal.
Right, right.
But so like I'm not saying don't take things from other people. Obviously don't steal jokes, but like,
Don't
like
sell jokes.
learn from other people. But um I also think it's important to make sure that like what you're crafting is kind of uniquely yours.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump to the last question here because I feel like, Um, what kind of legacy do you hope to leave in the world of comedy, and what do you want people to remember you for?
Um I mean, I think I want people to remember me as being funny, and
Yeah.
I think I want people to think that my work was like impactful and inspiring and cool. But I don't have any kind of like lofty thoughts about what I want to leave behind. Like
Hmm.
if my if me making people laugh brought them any kind of joy for even a couple moments on a Friday night or whatever,
Hmm.
that already is a legacy in and of itself. I don't necessarily need to be like remembered in any kind of lofty, high-minded way. I think that the laughter that I have brought people and continue to bring people is its own legacy and its own reward.
Okay. Well, all right. Um, well, actually, we actually do have some time for like one more question, which I'm gonna go with, what do you wish someone had told you before your first year of comedy?
Um, that I was gay, I think. I don't know. I think that would have been helpful. It would have been a helpful thing for
Mhm.
me to hear at 15.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, you're gay. Um, I I think that I think like that it's important to kind of hone material. I was doing a lot of I was writing all the time, which was really cool. Every time I went on stage, it was a new 5 minutes of jokes, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
But I also think that uh, none of that material really lasted because I would do it once and then never do it again. And it was all new. And like, I wish that I had taken the time. I don't even think that I would have worked on it anymore. Like, I don't think that much of that material would have lasted me into my adult life, but I do think that um, it would have helped me develop editing skills to kind of go back and review my own work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is one thing I know I struggled with starting out was like every time I go on stage I'm like, "Oh, I must have new material every time." Like I had it in my head that if I wasn't new, I wasn't funny or like some shit like that.
Right. Like, it's important to, I'm not saying do the same material every night,
Hmm.
but like, it's important to revise,
Yeah.
to like go back and make edits and stuff.
Like workshop it until like you are confident that like this is like the best this joke will ever be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, we got about little over 90 seconds left. The floor is yours. Plug whatever you want to plug. This show is going
Yeah.
to be coming out next Tuesday as of the time of recording. So, like, any upcoming shows, any
Yeah.
social media, anything you want to plug right now, now's your time.
I am on tour right now.
Oh, shit.
I am going to be in Chicago at the Color Club next week. I'm going to be in Kansas City a week or two after that, and then I'm going to be in Rochester and Toronto and Buffalo, and probably your city. And
Oh,
you
shit.
can find the tickets at sunnylcomedy.com. You can also join my mailing list if
Ooh.
your city is not one of the cities that I have mentioned. I am probably still going there. And you will get an email. I'm not going to spam you, but you will get
Right.
an email letting you know when I am doing shows in your city. You can also let me know where you would like to see me do stand up. I'm more likely to come to your city if it is on my mailing list. So come see me on tour. You can find me anywhere online at Sunny L Comedy. Like, follow, subscribe, hit that MF bell, all that good stuff.
All right. Thank you so much for sitting down with me for this. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Hope you tune into the next one. Please do me a favor and check out the show notes. There you're going to find our guest's social media as well as the stuff of my own that I'm plugging. I would like to give a shout out to my friend Morningstar for being the one to actually make the profile image for this podcast. Do you know of any other queer comedians that I should contact to see if I can get on this podcast? Let me know and I'll see if I can hunt them down. My name is Corbin Willmorth. Thank you for listening, and as a reminder, make sure you don't keep your head on straight.